The morning of my son's 7th birthday, I got a text message with the party address. But it was not from my husband. It was from a number I did not recognize, someone who said they were a friend of a friend. The message was short and strange. Party at 2 p.m., here's the address. That was it. No context. No warmth. No explanation. I stared at my phone for a long time, confused. Why would someone else send me the details to my own son's birthday party? Why would not my ex-husband tell me himself? We had shared custody. I was supposed to be part of these moments. That text should have been my first warning that something was very, very wrong. But I chose to ignore the feeling in my gut. I thought maybe he just forgot to tell me. I was wrong. When I saw the address, my stomach dropped. They were holding the party at our old house. The house I had worked overtime shifts to help buy. I remembered every late night, every extra hour I put in at work just so we could afford the down payment. I remembered painting the walls, choosing the furniture, planting flowers in the front yard. It used to be our home. The place where we built memories together, where we brought our son home from the hospital. But after the divorce, he got the house. And now it was not ours anymore. It was just theirs. His and hers. The woman who came after me was living in the home I helped create. And now she was hosting my son's birthday party there, like I had never existed at all. I arrived at 2:15, holding a gift bag with the action figure my son had been talking about for weeks. I had wrapped it carefully the night before, putting extra tape on the corners the way he liked. When I walked up to the front door, I could hear music and laughter inside. Kids were playing. Adults were chatting. It sounded like a real party. I knocked, and she opened the door. Her. The mistress. She was wearing a flowy sundress and had her hair done up nice. She smiled at me, but it was not a friendly smile. It was cold. She only opened the door halfway, blocking the entrance with her body. "It's a private event, Natalie," she said, her voice dripping with fake politeness. I could see my son inside, just past her shoulder. I waved at him. He looked at me. And then they shut the door anyway. I stood there on the porch, frozen. I could not believe what had just happened. Behind me, I heard whispers. I turned around and saw parents standing in the driveway, watching. One of them had their phone out, pointing it right at me. I heard someone say, "Is that his ex?" Another voice said, "Wow, this is awkward." I felt my face get hot, but I did not yell. I did not make a scene. I just stood there, holding that stupid gift bag, feeling smaller than I had ever felt in my life. I looked back at the window, and I saw my son's face pressed against the glass. He was looking at me. I smiled at him, tried to show him I was okay. But then someone pulled him away from the window, and he turned his back to me. That image would haunt me for weeks. I stayed calm. I do not know how, but I did. I stood on that porch for maybe another minute, just breathing, trying to process what was happening. I wanted to bang on the door. I wanted to scream. I wanted to demand to see my son, to hold him, to sing happy birthday with him like I did every single year. But I did not do any of that. I just stood there, quiet, holding the gift bag in my hands like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. Eventually, I turned around and walked back to my car. I could still feel the eyes on me, the phone's recording, the judgment. I sat in my car for a long time before I could even turn the key. Inside my chest, something broke. Something I did not know how to fix. That night, I got a text from another parent. A mom I had seen a few times at school drop-off, but never really talked to. Her message was short but kind. "I'm so sorry for what happened today. The way they treated you didn't feel right." I read that message 3 times. Then I cried. Not because I was sad, though I was, but because someone had seen me. Someone had noticed. Someone thought I mattered. That message gave me more strength than she probably knew. It reminded me that I was not crazy, that what happened was wrong, and that I did not have to just accept it. I thanked her, saved the message, and started making a list. A list of every time they had pushed me out. Every moment they made me feel invisible. I was done being silent. We had shared custody. On paper, at least. According to the agreement, I had my son 5 days a week. I did everything. I did his homework with him every night. I packed his lunches. I took him to soccer practice and doctor's appointments. I was the one who knew his favorite bedtime story, his least favorite vegetable, the name of his best friend at school. My ex only had him on weekends, and even then, he missed half of them. But somehow, they acted like I did not exist. Like I was some stranger who had no right to be part of my own son's life. They posted pictures. They made plans. They celebrated milestones. And I was expected to just stay quiet and be grateful for whatever scraps of time I got. But I was not grateful. I was angry. And I was done pretending. A few hours after the party, she posted photos on social media. I saw them because someone sent me a screenshot. There was my son, smiling, covered in frosting, surrounded by balloons and presents. And the caption said, "Our boy's big day. So blessed to celebrate this little guy. Our boy." She called him our boy. Like she had carried him for 9 months. Like she had been there for his first word, his first step, his first day of school. Like she had stayed up with him when he was sick, or held him when he had nightmares. Our boy. I read those 2 words over and over again until I could not see the screen anymore through my tears. She had taken my house. She had taken my husband. And now she was trying to take my son. But she had no idea what I was capable of. The next day, I went to work like nothing had happened. I worked full-time in human resources at a mid-sized tech company. It was a good job, stable, with benefits and respect. I kept my head down, answered emails, attended meetings, smiled when people asked how my weekend was. No one at work knew what had just happened to me. No one knew I had been shut out of my own son's birthday party. No one knew I had cried myself to sleep the night before. I looked professional. I sounded fine. But inside, I was planning. I was calculating. I was figuring out exactly what I needed to do next. Because I was not just going to sit there and let them erase me. I had rights. And I was going to use every single one of them. What they did not know was that 2 days before the party, I had already filed a formal motion for visitation interference. I had been documenting everything for months. Every canceled visit. Every ignored text. Every time they changed plans without telling me. I had a lawyer, a good one, and she told me to keep records of everything. So I did. I saved screenshots. I kept a journal. I noted dates and times. And when they shut the door in my face at my son's birthday party, that was just one more piece of evidence to add to the pile. I had filed the motion quietly, calmly, legally. I just had not told them yet. They had no idea what was coming. And, honestly, that felt good. Knowing I had the upper hand and they did not even see it yet. 2 days after the party, the video started spreading. Someone had uploaded it to TikTok. I did not know who, probably one of the parents who had been filming me. The video showed me standing on the porch, holding the gift bag, looking confused and hurt. The caption said, "Sad mom shows up to party uninvited." Uninvited. To my own son's birthday. The video blew up fast. Within 24 hours, it had over 200,000 views. People were commenting, sharing it, stitching it with their own reactions. Some people called me dramatic. Some people said I should have known better. But a lot of people were asking questions. Why was she not invited? Why is she holding a gift? Is this really the full story? I watched the view count climb, and I did not say a word. I just let it happen. Then the comments started changing. At first, People were harsh. They assumed I was some messy ex who could not let go. But then someone recognized me. A coworker from my job commented, "Wait, that's Natalie. She's one of the kindest people I know. Something's not right here." Then a cousin commented. Then a neighbor. Then parents from my son's school. People who actually knew me started defending me. They explained that I had full custody most of the week. They said I was a good mom. They said the party was at the house I helped pay for. Slowly, piece by piece, the real story started coming out. And the internet started turning. People were not mad at me anymore. They were mad at them. And that was just the beginning. I never commented on the video. I never posted my side of the story. I never made a TikTok response or went live to explain myself. I just stayed silent. My lawyer told me it was smarter that way. Let people talk. Let the story unfold naturally. Do not add fuel to the fire. So I did not. I let the internet do its thing while I focused on what really mattered. I kept collecting evidence. I kept taking notes. Every time my ex ignored my call, I documented it. Every time she posted something calling my son ours, I screenshot it. I was building a case, brick by brick, and they had no idea. They were too busy trying to control the narrative online while I was preparing for court. I knew where the real battle would be fought. And I was ready. A week after the video went viral, I got a letter in the mail. It was from a lawyer. Their lawyer. A cease and desist letter accusing me of exploitation and harassment. They said I was using my son for sympathy online, that I was damaging their reputation, that I needed to stop talking about them publicly. I read the whole thing twice, then I called my attorney. I expected her to be worried. Instead, she laughed. "They just gave us more evidence," she said. "This shows they're trying to silence you. Save this. We'll use it in court." So I did. I scanned the letter, saved it in 3 places, and added it to the growing folder of documentation. Every move they made was just digging the hole deeper, and they did not even realize it. I built a timeline. I went back through months of messages, emails, and calendar entries. Every missed handoff. Every text I sent that went ignored. Every time they canceled a visit last minute with some weak excuse. I printed everything out, organized it by date, and highlighted the most important parts. I made notes in the margins. I cross-referenced it with my custody agreement to show exactly how many times they had violated it. It took me hours, but by the end, I had a clear, undeniable record of what had been happening. I put it all in a binder, tabbed and labeled, and gave it to my lawyer. She looked through it and nodded. "This is solid, Natalie," she said. "Really solid." I felt a small sense of relief. I was not crazy. I had proof. A few days later, my son's teacher called me. She sounded concerned. "Natalie, I just wanted to check in. Your son missed 2 days of school this week, and we didn't receive any notice from you." I froze. "I'm sorry, what?" I said. "He missed school." She confirmed the dates. They were days when he was supposed to be with his father. Days I had no control over. I had not known he missed anything. No one told me. The teacher said she had tried calling my ex, but got no response, so she was reaching out to me instead. I thanked her, hung up, and immediately added this to my notes. They were not just keeping me away from birthday parties. They were interfering with his education. And that was a line even the court would not ignore. When my son came back to me that week, he was different. Quieter. Less smiley. He did not run to me like he usually did. He just walked slowly, dragging his backpack behind him. At dinner, he barely touched his food. I asked him what was wrong, and he shrugged. Later that night, when I was tucking him into bed, he looked up at me with the saddest eyes and asked, "Am I allowed to hug you at Dad's house?" My heart shattered. I pulled him close and told him he could hug me anywhere, anytime, Always. But inside, I was furious. What had they been telling him? What kind of environment were they creating where my son felt like he needed permission to love his own mother? That question broke me, and it made me fight even harder. The court date was set. My lawyer called me with the date and time, and I wrote it down carefully. It was 3 weeks away. I did not tell my ex right away. I did not tell anyone, really. I just kept it to myself and kept preparing. Meanwhile, they kept living their lives like nothing was wrong. They posted more pictures. They planned another family outing, some trip to an amusement park. Of course, I was not invited. Of course, they did not tell me. But I did not care anymore. Let them have their fun. Let them think they were winning. Because in 3 weeks, everything was going to change. And they had no idea what was coming. I circled the date on my calendar and counted down the days. The video kept spreading. By the second week, it had passed 2 million views. It had been shared on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, even LinkedIn. People were talking about it everywhere. A popular family lawyer even made a video breaking down the situation, defending me, explaining why what they did was legally and morally wrong. Her video got over 1 million views too. Reporters reached out to me for interviews. Podcasts wanted me to come on and tell my story. I declined everything. My lawyer said it was better to stay quiet until after court. So I did. But I watched the numbers climb. I read the comments. And I saw people rallying behind me, people I had never met, people who just knew that what happened was not okay. They could not take the video down. It was everywhere. And it was out of their control. Finally, my ex called me. His voice was tense, almost panicked. Natalie, can you please talk to these people online? This is getting out of hand. They're coming after us. They're leaving nasty comments. This needs to stop. I let him finish. Then I said, very calmly, you told me to stay out of it. You shut the door in my face at our son's birthday party. You told me it was a private event. So I stayed out. Remember? There was silence on the other end. Then he started again, trying to guilt me, trying to blame me for the mess they created. But I was done listening. See you in court, I said, and I hung up. It felt good. Really good. For the first time in months, I felt like I had my power back. A few days later, the mistress posted a video. She was sitting in her car, crying, talking about how she had been misunderstood. She said she loved my son like her own. She said people did not know the full story. She said she was being bullied and harassed online. For a moment, I almost felt bad. But then people started pulling up receipts. Someone found an old comment she had made on a post months earlier where she said, "I'm more of a mom than she'll ever be." Someone else found a screenshot of a message where she called me a deadbeat. The internet does not forget. And once people saw those receipts, the sympathy evaporated. Her video got ratioed. The comments tore her apart. I did not participate. I did not need to. The truth was already out there. The day of the court hearing finally came. I wore a simple blouse and slacks, nothing fancy. I wanted to look professional, calm, put together. My lawyer met me outside the courthouse, and we went over the plan one more time. When we walked into the courtroom, I saw them sitting on the other side. My ex looked uncomfortable. She looked angry. I did not look at them. I just walked to my seat, sat down, and placed my folder on the table in front of me. Inside that folder was everything. Visitation logs, witness letters, text message transcripts, photos, the video, the cease and desist letter, everything. When the judge walked in, I felt my heart beat in my throat. But I was ready. I had been ready for weeks. The judge was not impressed. She listened to their side first. My ex tried to make excuses, said I was being dramatic, said the party thing was a misunderstanding. His lawyer tried to spin it. But then my lawyer stood up and presented the evidence. She walked the judge through the timeline. She showed the texts I had sent asking about the party that went ignored. She showed the video of me being turned away. She showed the posts where the mistress called my son ours and called herself his mom. She showed the school records proving he had missed days under their care. And then she showed the cease and desist letter. The judge's face changed. She looked straight at my ex and said, "You made a mockery of parental boundaries." The room went silent. Custody was reevaluated on the spot. Then the mistress tried to speak. She stood up and started talking, trying to defend herself, trying to explain why she did what she did. The judge held up her hand. "Ma'am, you have no legal standing in this case. You are not a parent. You are not listed on any custody agreement. You need to stop talking." The mistress kept going anyway, her voice getting louder. The judge's face hardened. "Bailiff, please escort her out of the courtroom." 2 officers walked over, and she was asked to leave. She protested, but they guided her out anyway. As the doors closed behind her, I heard someone in the back of the courtroom clap. Then another person. Then a few more. The judge banged her gavel for order, but I saw a tiny smile on her face. I stayed silent. I did not clap. I just sat there, breathing. That evening, after everything was over, I went to pick my son up from school. The custody arrangement had been updated. I now had primary physical custody, and my ex's visitation was reduced and supervised until further review. When my son came out of the building, he saw me waiting by the car. His face lit up in a way I had not seen in weeks. He dropped his backpack and ran straight into my arms. I held him tight, feeling his little heartbeat against mine. "Mom," he said quietly, "I knew you didn't forget my birthday." I pulled back and looked at him, tears in my eyes. "I could never forget, baby. Never." They had thrown me out of the party. They had tried to erase me. But I was the one who showed up in the end. I was the one who fought. And I was the one who won.